The impact that the coaching and training has on agents' business is that they get into production faster, they make more money, they stay in the business longer, and ultimately part of KW's mindset is to teach us not only to be realtors but to be business owners.
And the thing that I love about Keller Williams is our training comes from agents for agents. So the top producers in our office, the people who are very successful that you look at and you would want to learn from and want to model your business after, take time out of their day to come and train and provide that knowledge. They literally say, hey, this is what I have done to create success. Let me share it with you.
Here at Keller Williams, and we've been using this tagline for over a year now, where entrepreneurs thrive.
Yep.
Right? And it's just a brilliant tagline, and we as entrepreneurs so embody that. What separates Keller Williams from every other brand out there? I'm not saying we're better, but we're just different.
We're way different. We have a different philosophy to everything. And I often say Keller Williams is not about what you get, it's about who you become. It's very much a self empowerment type of company. Yeah. And some people mistake that for, we hear all the time, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Which is code for you guys are different over there. We're the only national company or international company that will openly say the brand doesn't matter. Real estate's a locally driven business by the agent and their sphere of influence. And so our job, if you believe that and agree with that, it fundamentally changes the value of the brand. Mm-hmm. So our job is to create the supportive and training environment and the technology that allows our agents to be the best possible fiduciary they can be for their consumers.
I sit back and reflect on my time with Keller Williams Realty Centers. I can see how much I've already continued to grow, and the people around me and the people that I've met here and the journey and trajectory that they're on, that I'm building a life that I'd never imagined for myself.
Over the last 10 years of being in real estate, I can honestly say that these last 2 years have put me in a place where I can create my life for myself and my family that I didn't even know was possible.
Jason Abrams here. Everyone knows that I love to talk. It's a gift, but I also love to listen. We're having conversations with the best and the busiest. The biggest personalities making the biggest impact. The craziest and the coolest. It's about passion, strategy, and above all, it's about real, tangible success. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast, available anywhere you get your podcasts.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! Yeah, I was building on the lecture. Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true stock trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking one chance at best, yes. Painting pictures for the culture, keep the brushes fresh. Flip the cover, work the drummer, passion never rests. Freedom is a teacher under pressure, now we blessed. See, I was so close with the goal. There's one art, one shot, now the future is yours. Go! Yeah, it's one art, one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, make this look easy. On the highway and I'm feeling breezy. Going beast mode, yeah, another species. I'm the top one cause they cannot beat me. Foot on the gas in another gear. Can't slow me down, this is our year. I'ma say it loud, I'ma say it clear. We run the world, get a whole sphere. Now wait. Let's turn this up. Okay, let's work it out. Okay, let's shake and move. Okay, do what it do. I'm feeling great. Now let's turn on the cool. Get busy. And move.
we are, my friends. Jen, we got you scrolling. There's even a countdown to let us know we're coming on. My friends, how's everyone doing?
Fantastic.
Beautiful day.
Good.
It is a beautiful day. Lots going on today, as always. And here's the thing, my friends. We've got a handful of people online with us already. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And I want you, tell us about your view that you're looking at right now, apart from the happy, smiley faces online. But I got to tell you, as we all know, I'm out here in the beautiful West Coast, and it is mountainous. It is beautiful. And if I could take a picture and show you, I would right now, but that's okay. Gail, I love it. I don't know if we remember this, Jen and Dylan and Colin, but last time, Gail, do you remember where Gail was last time?
It was in Paris.
Yeah.
Oh, still in Paris.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, Emily, we see you. Leslie, all the way in Sharon, Ontario. Yeah, Gail, we know you wish. Here we go. Terry from the South Bruce Peninsula, still looking at snow here. I apologize on many levels. Wasaga Beach. Okay. The sun on my back deck is amazing. I love it. I love it. Silbernagle team. Hey, look at you guys go.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, Stacy, just keep two hands on that wheel. That's all I say.
He's in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. My friends, Colin, how we doing?
I'm ready for today, man. We have a jam-packed session today. Team meeting. We have, like you mentioned, our favorite topic is being discussed today, taxes. So that is going to be insightful, and it's tax season, so this is going to be helpful for a lot of people. Then we have Dylan and Matt, who's just given us the market mashup. We have Jen that is going to be taking us through some powerful points. Then we come back and then we just talk about what is happening in the market and how to protect yourself from that. So I'm excited for today.
Yeah, well said. And here's the thing. Today's kind of underlying message, if you can take from this, friends, is noise. We know there's a lot of noise going on right now. And when I think about this, there's kind of always a lot of noise. Yeah. And we're going to kind of peel that onion away a little bit, and We've heard it 1,000 times, especially if you've been with KW over at least a couple of years, or through a Bolt, or through an Ignite, or through any one of our training. And what you focus on expands.
So true,
right? Right, Dylan. And I know no matter if you're looking at, hey, I got a ton of leads or I don't have any leads, you're right. And Jen's going to walk us through some of the lead gen framework that we can work through and put together and implement, not tomorrow, not next week, but now, like right now, and in any communication. And Jen, I'm excited for that, because I think often we get lost in, oh, what do I say? How do I say it? When do I say it? You're going to walk us through all that kind of stuff, and just find, remember the old, okay, I'm going to date myself, but that's okay. That's okay.
Let me see what you got. Go for it.
Okay, I like this. This just came to me, so it's either going to hit or it's not. Maybe that's a new segment. Does it hit or not?
Hit or miss.
Yeah, that's it. We got to filter that noise. Remember the old radio dials, and you just didn't quite have the radio station on in your car in the right spot. You just had to turn it a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's what meetings like today is going to be about. How's that?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That was a hit here. That was a hit.
Okay, I'm done now. See ya.
See ya. It was when the TV rabbit ears were, you're not it, and I was the remote. I had to go hold the rabbit ears, and my mom would say, "Don't move," and she's watching her show, and I have to stand there. So
yeah,
it's us all tuning in. So
yeah, yeah. Okay, and to not date ourselves, maybe it's like when our younger generation of agents goes camping or something, and they just can't quite get cell signal. They got to go to the top of the mountain or something, top of the hill. Yeah, I don't know. I make things up, obviously. Okay, let's dive into this. As we said, we got lots going on. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to share some highlights of some amazing accomplishments that our agents, you guys are doing, and we really want to highlight that. Jen, take us. I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so first off, we have a new capper in our midst. Irene Skandaris capped after just a couple of months. Congrats, Irene. Amazing
Excellent.
first quarter for her. Our top
Before
producers.
we go, Jen,
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say, because I'm on LinkedIn a lot now, and almost every day you see a post from Irene.
Mhm.
Almost every day, and it's like clockwork. Obviously, she's having help, but it creates traction, and I see it every single time. So kudos to Irene.
Yeah, and she's a teacher. She's got a full-time job outside of real estate. So, even more impressive, and also a great reminder that it can be done, right? So, yeah. Okay, top producers closed units for February. Am I reading that right, Gare? Okay.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
So we've got Stacy Nixon, Susan Pierce, Adam Ratcliffe, Omar Paracha, Michael Dinner, Louis Curacao, Tracy Kirstein, Paul Ireland, Irene Skandaris, and Stuart Madden. Congrats, everybody. And then top producing team for closed units. We've got the Property Network, Bolton Clements Real Estate Group, Bungard Mitchell team with an extra E, Team Russo, and Hastings team. Congrats, guys.
Excellent. And we're going to go nationwide now, Jen.
Love it. What? Top 20. Irene Skandaris, top 20 in KW Canada for GCI year to date, February 2025. Phenomenal.
That's impressive.
And Stuart Madden, my man, top individual agent, of course, Feb 2025, number 14. Congrats, Stuart. And hey, Silvernagle Realty team, top 12 in teams for GCI year to date, Feb 2025.
Excellent. Colin, you take
What stood out there for me, it's since 1978. So impressive.
I know that is also incredibly impressive. I love it. I love it.
Shout out to our Captain Cece.
That's it. Yeah. You and Dylan may not be that old, but I didn't. And oh my gosh, I just put my foot in my mouth. Cease. I did not call you old. I call you incredibly experienced.
I'm going to kill you, Gary.
Good stuff. Colin, you take this one.
Oh my goodness. Yes. For number one, appointments in all of Canada for offices. The TL for number one in Canada was obviously our Jen Silvernagle, and she ranked number one in all of Canada for appointments for January and February. So kudos to you, Jen, and all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, my friends, that's not an easy feat, because there's other KW offices doing some incredible things, and we do it together. And we just want to highlight, obviously, Jen and the team, and you, our agents, for providing Jen with some leads and referrals and conversations. And it's just like your business as you're building to generate your leads and close sales and that type of thing. The more conversations that you're in, the bigger, or perhaps the more fine-tuned your business is going to be. So this is a huge, awesome accomplishment.
What this speaks to, Gary, is us leading by example. This is what we're telling each and every one of our agent partners every day. The size of your business is based on the conversation you're having with people. So go talk to more people. And here we have our team leader in Jen, who's just talking to more people. So well done, Jen, and let's continue to grow.
Thank you.
Well said. Okay. Jen, I always do the little commercial for this. Why don't you take it for this time?
Well, I wasn't even ready for this.
I know.
All right. We got our KWRC commercial partners, John Brock and Drew McMartin, who are independently amazing agents and have come together in the commercial side of things to build a commercial partnership, and of course to support all of our KWRC agents. So if you have a commercial lead, if you don't want to do commercial, if you're like me and you're like, nah, there's way too much math, I'm not touching it. Or if you just never done it before and you're not certain, but you want to make sure your clients have a phenomenal experience and get through the deal and make sure that transaction closes, reach out to John and reach out to Drew. They're there to support you. They will make themselves available to connect with your client as well and chat about the situation. And they're very hands-on. So amazing support, amazing opportunity for our agents. We no longer have to say, I don't do commercial. We can now say, my team does commercial. Let me connect you with our commercial specialist, and then connect them with John and Drew.
That was excellent. That's way better than I would ever have done it.
We should have recorded that.
Good thing. And if I may be so bold, we're not quite ready to launch this next piece just yet, but we just want to let you know that it's in the works and it's coming. And one of the things that Colin suggested to our leadership team a couple of weeks ago is, what if we had a KWRC leasing group? And that's one of the things that's on our radar. And I know a lot of our agents have leasing leads or lease leads, and sometimes they don't know what to do with them. So we're looking for an opportunity where that can be accomplished. So if that's on your radar, that perhaps you want to help with that segment, reach out to Jen or myself, and we'll start developing what that looks like. But from the commercial piece, this is excellent. John and Drew are excellent people to connect with. That's good. Okay, let's move forward. We mentioned this quickly last team meeting. For those that went to family reunion, and if we recall Emily's experience, absolutely loved it. They've curated all the best pieces of family reunion, and you can go get that here and get access to it and educate yourself and sit back, down some of the downloads as well. There's some awesome stuff within this FR Unlocked. Go scan that, and you'll get access to that. That's right on the website. And this is also available to our colleagues outside of KW. So if you're working with a colleague and you thought, hey, here's a great resource, go check it out. That's a great way to introduce them to some of the KW leaders as well as material. Good stuff. Okay. Office of the Broker Record. We're going to invite Jonathan on screen. We'll say goodbye to Colin and Jen. Jonathan, I'm going to hand it over to you, and you take it from here, my friend.
Hi, Jen. Bye, Colin. Thanks, Gary. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all of you for showing up to the team meeting today. I'll just get started right away. So in hopes of the Office of the Broker Record to continue to support our agents with TRESA and with new rules and regulations of the MLS, I will be doing another session on the practical of TRESA, the rules and regulations of the MLS. And so it's going to be another roundtable. It's not going to be on Zoom because it's a conversation. It's a sit-down roundtable conversation. So you'll be able to come and discuss. We're going to take things from listings all the way to buyers and self-represented parties. And we'll also discuss about some of the penalties that potentially other agents, not our brokerage agents, but other agents may get into trouble for. So we'll talk about some of the penalties that are involved. And then sometime after this, maybe a month or two from now, we're going to have mandatory courses for those of you who are a little bit shy of being compliant with the KWRC level of compliance, which is a step above what RICO, what TREB is looking for. We're going to have some mandatory courses. And those mandatory courses will be called out to our agents who are a little bit unsure, who are a little bit shy. And they'll be by invitation as well as by voluntary as well. So look out for that, and look out for on April the 3rd at 12 p.m. We're going to have that rules seminar, the practical there, and that's how we're going to be keeping all of you and all of us, including myself, accountable, so that we are not under the gun or the radar of RICO. All right. So another thing, FinTrack. Again, FinTrack is updating, whether that be information or whether that be forms. I haven't been given that privilege of the information as of yet, but FinTrack will be updating the information with potentially the forms. So, keep an eye out for that. And once that comes out from Korea, FinTrack through Korea, then I will give you all of that information and trainings that are associated with that. Okay. The positive aspects of our brokerage and our compliance, I want to say, is the fact that we've made some back-end compliance improvements, and it'll be seamless. You won't notice it, but we made some headway. So a lot of things will be a little bit quicker, a little bit more smoother. So look out for things like that. But we will still be adhering to the high levels of our compliance within the brokerage. And not only is this a RICO mandate or a CREA or TREB mandate to be at a certain level of compliance, but it is also, we are a step above all these organizations to be KWRC compliant. We're not more, but as Gary and Colin said, we're different. So please look out for that. You're going to have a smoother, what's the process? The compliance process and deals process, so that you can get paid faster as well. For now, that's it from me. So please, if you didn't come to my last seminar in March, please come to the April 3rd, that's a Thursday at 12 p.m. and come for the practical. And this is by popular demand. So many people showed up, and so many people that couldn't make it wanted us to have another seminar. So April 3rd, 12 p.m. Gary, back to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate everything you're doing there. I'm going to bring on Jen and Colin once again. And my friends, first of all, I should have left you on, Jonathan, but I apologize. Going around and talking with other brokerages and other agents and knowing the resource that we have in Jonathan and the leadership that he has, kudos to you, Jonathan, for what you've developed and continue to coach us as agents and develop a good support team around you. Well done, because I know, we all know, a lot of other offices don't have that support network. So kudos to you, Jonathan. Job well done, and thank you for taking us on this road through Tressa and that whole transition. It feels like it was just yesterday, but it's been a while now, and we really appreciate your efforts there. Okay, Jen.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what we're going to learn at your session with Win with Buyers.
Yeah, so we're going to be covering, I'm going old school on this. We're going back to the old KW training that we used to take back in the day. So it's going to be a longer session. It's going to be from 10:30 to 2. We're going to have some lunch there and have a little break for everybody. And it's going to be taking you through the whole process of working with buyers. So from finding the buyer leads to converting them, getting them into a consultation, a little focus on how to have an effective consultation and what the makeup of that is. We're not going to live play it, but we are going to break it down and say these are the conversations you need to be having, the questions you need to be asking, and then how you leverage that into converting and closing them faster so that you can move through more buyers more efficiently and get more deals done. And then, of course, from contract to close, and then getting them into your Touch 36 and then getting referrals from them. So it's a full session of start to finish winning with buyers and growing your business through buyers. So it's a fun one. I'm excited to teach it. I haven't done it in a long time. So
excellent. So here's what I want to do, my friends. And I just want to give Mahat just a little heads up. We're ahead of schedule a little bit, so I might bring you on in the next few minutes here. In the comments, here's what I want you to write in the comments. I just want you to write the word buyers if you want to work with more buyers. I know, Gary, it should be yes. The answer is yes, but put that in there because, my friends, what it does is it triggers something in our self-conscious that, remember at the beginning, Colin, we said what you focus on expands. My friend, do me a favor, just enlighten me, type the word buyers, hit enter, and we should all see it pop up there because, Jen, it all starts with momentum, right?
Everything does. And, we have to create the momentum, which means we have to get into action in order to get that ball rolling. And this is a great way to step into action. I know for most people, we don't get into action because we don't know what to do or we have fear of the unknown. And this is going to answer all of those questions for you. And it's strategically done at this time of the year because with everything going on in the market the way it is a great time right now to have a solid buyer system and have a plan to leverage buyers with the opportunities out there. So, looking at that combined with just getting through the questions you might have and how to have a system and a model around it so you can do it efficiently and repeat the same experience. It's going to help you elevate your business. It's going to help you get more buyer referrals. And those, by the way, lead to listing referrals, because either those buyers are going to sell and buy, or they're going to sell in 2 or 3 years or 5 years or 7 years and continue to pad your database, right?
Excellent. Well said. Well said. And we have a handful of people here that do want to work with buyers, and I know everybody does. But like I said, it triggers that self-conscious is what you focus on expands. And Jen, this course, I don't want to say it's one of the OG or original courses or oldest courses, but it's been around for many years because it works and it provides you with a framework of how to work and attract buyers from that contract to close as well. Well done. Well done. Okay. As we move forward here, I love a good podcast. There's no surprise there. And I got to tell you, some of the new interviews that Jason Abrams is hosting and has done are phenomenal. Go and do yourself a favor. If you're not a podcast listener, even just throwing it on the car, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, you're going to get some golden nuggets from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And Jason Abrams is an absolute what's the word I'm looking for? Master. He does a master class in how to interview and talk to people when he's interviewing these top producers right across the KW network. So do that, do yourself a favor, and you will come away with gems you can insert into your business right away. Okay. Tax season. Tax season is every season. Is it? Am I not? Yeah, I'm gonna invite our guest here, Mahad, to come on screen with us. How you doing, my man? Nice to see you. Welcome to our team meeting.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Excellent. I'm going to hand it over to you in just a moment, but I'm excited with our new partnership, and we're going to see more of you over the next little while here. And my friends, like I said, tax season needs to be every season, and just being in tune with what you can and can't do, and maybe today's session is also going to provide you with some questions that you haven't thought about before. And I often, every time I sit down and listen to a tax expert or talk about my taxes or income, there's always little tweaks and things that we can always do, just like in our real estate business with generating leads or converting on leads or talking to other agents. We can always be better. And we're excited for Mahad, and you're local right there, Newmarket, right?
Yeah, I am. We have 2 offices, Newmarket and Oshawa.
Excellent. So just up the road from us, I'm going to hand it over to you. You walk us through, and you'd let me know on advancing the slides. And again, thank you for joining us today, Mahad.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here. I'm excited.
Excellent. Okay, my friend, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you again. And if you, Gary, if you don't mind going through the agenda. So first thing I want to do is I want to introduce myself. My name is Mahad. I'm a CPA in Ontario, and I also have a US CPA, so I do both Canadian and US taxes. To introduce about my firm, I've been an accountant in Canada for 25 years. Of the 25 years, 7 years and 8 months, I've worked for the Canada Revenue Agency as an auditor, auditing commission individuals, agents, businesses, and corporations, and large businesses as well. I left Canada Revenue in 2014, and I decided to purchase Tax Partners. It's not as old as Silbert Nagel, but Tax Partners has been in business since 1981. When I took it over in 2014, I transitioned from a traditional accounting firm to more advanced accounting firm, handling both international taxes, US taxes, Canadians. To this day, we have 34 employees that work at Tax Partners at 2 locations, Newmarket and Oshawa. And a lot of the things that we do is to help small businesses like real estate agents. We have about 973 real estate agents that we service every year. Whether it's filing as a self-employed or PREC. PREC was introduced back in 2021. We have about 194 PRECs that we service. annually, whether it's bookkeeping, tax planning, payroll, HST filings and audits and stuff like that. So today, this is the agenda that I just wanted to go over. The first thing that I want to talk about is the common deductions that a lot of opportunities that are missed. Whether you're filing your own tax return or you're relying on an accountant, it's important to make sure that it's not what you make is what you keep. So those deductions plays a big role in making sure that you pay the least amount of taxes possible. So if I can, Gary. Great. So in terms of talking about the type of deductions, they are broken down by 100% tax deductions, which is the common expenses that you see on the screen. And then the prorated amount that every real estate agent leaves in their car. So majority of the automobile expenses should be about 80 to 90% by way of deductions. And the home office is important. You want to make sure that you're claiming minimum 10% because you don't want CRA to come and ask you for capital gains tax because principal resident exemption is tax-free. So maximum amount that you should be claiming for home office, water, hydro, electricity, property tax, mortgage interest, repairs, capital cost, stuff like that, you should be claiming about 10% annually. So the other thing that I just wanted to cover is that there are two types of real estate agents. One, Gary? Yeah, so there are two types of real estate agents. One is one that is due diligence in terms of keeping all their receipts, and one who just throws everything out. Depending on the type of real estate agents that you are, it's important to understand that if you're keeping all your receipts, you get more deductions. And that is somebody who has a detailed method. A detailed method is somebody who has a detailed record of all their receipts, their expenses, and they use a bookkeeping software like QuickBooks or Sage or stuff like that. So they're keeping track of all the expenses that they have. And what that does is that you're able to deduct more and reduce your HST that you have to pay at the end of the year. And then there is a real estate agent who doesn't like to keep all the receipts. So the income tax basically says that if you're a quick method filer, you don't have to keep all your receipts. So you can throw all the receipts out. We can change you to a quick method, and then you only basically, rather than receiving a 13% deduction, the Income Tax Act says that you can only receive 8.8% as a tax deduction. So I just wanted to share that there are options that are available to you. Now, a common expenses that a lot of real estate agents miss, Gary, if you could go to the next one, is hiring an admin assistant. Sorry, the next one. Yeah. Is hiring an admin assistant. When you have sorry, you have the wrong one. Yeah. So when you have an admin assistant that you want to deduct, whether they are an assistant or not, let's say your husband or your child who's over the age of 18, you want to claim the work that they do or the assistance that they provide, whether it's marketing or leads or putting a package together or helping you do cold calling or whatnot. You want to make sure that you're claiming all the deductions as possible. So based on the first 15,000 is tax-free in Canada. So you want to create, if that child is going to university, you want to be able to give them income so you can take advantage of a tax deduction. Now, anything more than $2,500, Canada Revenue Agency says that you must have a T4A that you must issue to them. So as an accountant, I'll be issuing that T4A in order for them to be able to report that income and for you to report the expenses and reduce your taxes payable. So that's something that is different from an accountant to another accountant. But obviously for us at Tax Partners, we look at the whole family tree in terms of their income and their marginal rate of tax. So that way that you're not paying the most, income taxes, that you're paying the least amount of taxes as possible. Now, what is important is the deadlines. So on the next slide, so I wanted to walk you through the type of deadlines that you have as a real estate agent, whether if you have a corporation or whether if you are filing as self-employed. Now, if you're filing as a self-employed, every person knows that, the deadline of April 30th. Now, the deadline of April 30th is very important because that deadline, if you're self-employed, is only for you to pay if you owe. Okay, it's not meant for you to file the return at that time. So if you owe for your personal taxes, which includes your Canada pension, that payment is due on April 30th, but you don't have to file until June 15th, right? So the deadline for your personal taxes is required to be filed by April 30th, and the payment is also due on April 30th. But if you want to pay the least amount of taxes possible, I always tell everybody just file by April 30th. Then the GST is not due until June 15th. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. Okay. Now, we were talking about the old way and the new way, right? And on the next slide, Gary, what I'm showing is that if you are using the old traditional way, sorry, on the next one, where it talks about the old way and the new way. There was an iPad on the screen. Oh, you don't have that. Okay. So I'll just high level talk about it just for you to understand. So there are two types of accountants. One who uses the old way, just carries it forward and enters the numbers. Okay. And then the new way is an accountant who basically looks at what you provided to them, makes sense of what you provided to them, and does a tax planning on the side, right? So let's say, for example, if you're traveling to go to St. Catharines to do a showing, and you decided to eat in St. Catharines, that is 100% tax deductible, that meal. However, an older way of an accountant would claim it as a meals because you basically categorize it in a meal. So when you're providing all your meals and entertainment, at Tax Partners, what we do is that we go through line by line to make sure that you're claiming the maximum deductions as possible. So if I see that you live in Newmarket and you're using the 407 all the time, I will look at the log of the 407, like where are you going? Are you going to Hamilton? Are you going to St. Catharines? Are you going to Paul Coburn? Are you going to Ottawa? Are you going to Kingston? And of course, you would eat in Kingston or St. Catharines or Paul Coburn or Fort Erie or Hamilton, and I would be able to claim those meals and entertainment, making sure that you're able to deduct those ones. So on the slide that you see is that you can have a fax machine, you can have a camera, you can have an alarm, you could have a cassette, you could have a watch. But the new way is making sure that your accountant is also up to date in terms of the rules and legislations, and then they're able to maximize your deduction. And on the same token, you don't always want to go see your accountant. So if you have a QuickBooks Online, you could email us and say, hey, Mahad, everything is ready. And we will log into your QuickBooks and making sure that we prepare your tax return. So it doesn't matter where you are, whether if you're in Newmarket or Alberta or Ottawa or Manitoba, we're able to help you and answer those questions that you need in order for you to be able to take advantage of paying the least amount of taxes as possible. And if we do see that there's an opportunity for you to incorporate, we will have that discussion with you, how you can incorporate and how you can take money out of your corporation in terms of making sure that you're fully compliant, whether it's the corporate tax filing or the personal tax filing. So the corporate tax filing has different requirements and has different deadlines than the personal tax filings as a self-employed person. Now, the last thing that I just wanted to cover is our fees, which is very important for you to be able to understand. Now, if you're asking us to file your PREC, of course, includes your financial statements, your corporate tax return, your provincial filings, your HST, your tax planning, your tax slips filings, and all those things. Our fee basically starts at $1,100. And bookkeeping, we charge $80 per hour. But if you want us to train you on how to do the bookkeeping, we will give you all those tools that you need in order for you to be able to do your own bookkeeping. But obviously, if you give it to us, we know what we did. So if you're getting audited, we're able to represent for you at no cost. So if you're doing your own bookkeeping, you could save the bookkeeping cost. However, normally what we would say is that it's better to hire an accountant to do everything so you can focus on what you do best, which is obviously growing your business and taking care of all that. For us, 1 hour per month would satisfy for us to be able to do the bookkeeping and take that headache from you. So the least amount of work that's possible for you to do, the better for the accountant, for them to be able to represent you and assist you. So if you have a self-employment business, we charge a flat rate, which the flat rate is $450. And if you're asking us to do the corporate for your PREC, is $1,100. That's what we start at. and the fees varies depending on the workload that you want us to do, and we can have that discussion. So one thing that we're doing for Colin's team and Keller Williams as a whole is providing every one of you guys with a free consultation appointment. The free consultation appointment basically is encompasses on you asking questions, getting answers, getting a feel of how we do business at Tax Partners, and we're able to help you make sense of the tax filings and all the things that you need to do as a business owner. So if you have any questions, please take a screen print or an image. You're able to contact me directly by email, or you can call our office and leave me a voice message and we'll call you back. Thank you, Gary.
I appreciate it. And here's what I love. And I'm bringing Colin on specifically because at the very top, you said there's two agents. Clearly you've worked with agents before. You're already laughing. How about I say it like this? Those that cut corners and those that don't. And the ones that don't, you show them a clear path and a bigger opportunity to save money. I love it, Mahad.
Yeah.
I think
you.
from the beginning, you had me right at the beginning, Mahad, when you said I was an auditor at CRE. Yes. So you know the ins and outs. Yes. And it was beautiful that Leslie Proctor, one of our agent partners here, who's been using you for years as well, the moment she saw you, she typed in there. So love what you've discussed here today. And it makes this topic of taxes an easier conversation, because it's one of those things nobody wants to discuss. But when you have the right partners in your corner, you know that my partners are taking care of it. So I don't have to worry about taxes. I don't have to worry about if I'm audited, what happens. Fine, if I'm audited, I'm audited. However, my partners, they will take care of that for me.
Right, that's very important. And that's what we try to do. We make it as less of a headache and stress as possible, because what we do best is it's very we come from a lot of knowledge. A lot of our managers are all CPAs, and we've been doing this for a long time. And obviously for me as a former auditor, one of the things that I love doing is making sure that you're fully compliant. And I will show you both sides of the border, and then making sure that you're not only doing things today but also for future. So I always say men and women at work, and money should be at work. So if I help you reduce that money and I'm helping you save that money, then this money should be at work, should be in an index fund, or buying investment properties and stuff like that. That's what I do.
He speaks the language, my friends. I love it.
Said. We're going to see you at the award ceremony. This is where you're going to get to meet a lot of our agent partners. So can't wait to connect with you again.
Happy to. I'm looking forward to it. And so is the team. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Enjoy your day.
All the best. Thank you. Excellent, my friends. Like we said, tax season is every season. Yeah. How about we've all heard this too in the past, Colin, is every dollar needs to be accounted for.
Of course.
And when it's not, that's when you start to get into trouble. So good stuff. And thanks, Mahad and his team and Tax Partners, everyone there for partnering along with us, if you will. And I know a lot of people are going to benefit with that consultation. So reach out to them. And I know I've seen here that Terry is going to reach out to them, and many others, I'm sure, that they will as well.
And there's that famous saying, and Mahad said it as well, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, right?
Yeah.
But the right tax partners, you get to keep more. So this is someone that as the brokerage we've partnered with, so all of our agent partners, they have access. And so reach out if you're looking for a new tax partner.
There you have it. I like it. Okay. If you want to go reach out and you don't know what to post online or reach out to your database, and I know Jen's going to talk about this in a little bit, but the Spring Social, and we put this up last month as well, download this right out of KW Command. It's there. Go scan that QR code or go into KW Command, and you can get that all within the designs. Leverage the tools that we have. They're right there in front of you. And often often we kind of get stuck because we don't know what to do. Well, here's just something that, and you may not use it, but it gives you an idea.
And it's 31 spring socials. 31. So you have content for an entire month if you post every day.
There you go. There you go. I love it. Okay. Nicole, and there's probably not much you can talk about, right?
You know what?
Nicole comes on, there's something new happening, and we're like, oh my gosh, bring Nicole.
Yeah.
It's crazy, guys. Like, honestly, it's a roller coaster right now. That's the best way to explain it. I think there's tons and tons of hesitation. It's a really weird market, and really weird time. However, I will say, in terms of the roller coaster, it's interesting because I was on the team call last week, and I think I was telling Mike and Mel and a couple people, it was an insanely busy March break in terms of purchase activity. And I didn't see it coming. I wasn't expecting. I mean, it's a pleasant surprise. But, the week before that and a couple weeks before that, it was dead. There was a lot of activity in terms of, refinances and things like that. But purchase activity was dead. And last week and up until this week, there is definitely an uptick. So let's just hope it stays again. But that said, it's a roller coaster right now. It's up and down, up and down. And the one thing I really want to emphasize, and I know that you guys are all doing this, already, but I cannot emphasize enough, talk to your clients, reach out to your database, and like, how's it going? How are you feeling? Like I love it because Gary, you said noise, and that's the word I've been using, like, just in general right now. There is so much noise. Ask people how they're feeling. I think Mel, she's on here too. I think Mel's team, they were talking about this as well too, that they're having a lot of, success with just talking to people about what's really happening. Right. And I think I can't emphasize that enough. I was saying about this, or we were talking about this a little while ago, and I think one of the other previous calls that I was suggesting to do the same thing with, renewals and stuff are coming up. But just this whole tariff, tension, trade war, whatever you want to call it, the noise, just talk to people, see how they're feeling, what they're doing. And that is going to translate, and from what I'm seeing, into activity, because we're definitely going to continue to see the hesitation and talk about all that. But if you can really speak to people about what their fears are and what's happening and what they're taking from all this noise, that is going to be the biggest thing. And I think that is what is really triggering the activity that I'm seeing, because people are doing that. So all that being said, in terms of, again, I hate talking about the rates, but we have to talk about it right now because that's the topic of conversation. To me, there seems to be a lot of misinformation out there that's being posted by media outlets and all this kind of stuff. I am constantly getting calls daily that fixed rates have been slashed, and we're seeing all these that hasn't happened yet. Is it going to likely happen? Yes. And, probably in the coming months, depending on how things are, continue to go. But we really haven't seen a big drop in fixed rates yet. And I'm really trying to struggle where this is coming from. We have seen some decreases in the insured space. So less than 20%. So in that space, a lot of the big banks, just monoline lenders in general, but especially the big banks, are really trying to push to have a bigger bulk of their business in that insured space. It's less risky for them. They like it. There's an appetite for it right now. So we have seen some rates come down on the fixed rate side, but again, it hasn't been, big changes. And I'm hearing about this all the time. So I just wanted to clarify that, that isn't the case right now. We of course, obviously saw Bank of Canada announcement, I don't even know my weeks right now. Last week. So we saw that drop 25 basis points. So of course, we're definitely seeing the variable rates come back down. But keep in mind that as we continue to see the prime rates drop, those discounts from the lenders are getting smaller and smaller. So, just be mindful of that. So, it is happening. Next Bank of Canada announcement is going to be April 16th, I think it is. My personal prediction, just based on inflation being up, we're now sitting at 2.6%, which is higher than expected for the inflation sort of prediction. I think it was sitting at about 2.2 was sort of the expectation, but that's up higher. So my personal prediction is we may likely see a hold next month. I don't think that that's indicative of not seeing further rate decreases to come. I just think that we'll probably hang tight next month. So we'll see. As of today, that's my prediction anyway. That might change in 2 days or next week. But that's, kind of what we're seeing. And again, there is still this obsession with rates, right? So everybody that's calling me and is really focusing on the rate. So it's really important that you guys are also helping to make sure that clients are making the right decisions based on their overall goals. We're definitely seeing the pendulum sort of swing over to the variable rates finally, because that was a bit of a push for a while. So we're definitely seeing majority of clients now looking to take advantage of those variable rates, specifically because it can buy them time to potentially lock into a fixed rate later. That's also the reason why you're seeing some of the lenders, push to have some of the more favorable rates in the fixed rate space, because they're trying to, swing people to the other side. Couple sort of things I just wanted to mention in terms of what I'm seeing on a regular basis right now is I'm seeing more and more uptick in the quick closings. I've said this before, but I just want to emphasize again, please keep in mind that just don't assume that you can do a 3 or 4 week close with no issue. Talk to your mortgage broker, your finance professional. The banks are inundated right now with, just administrative stuff and just slow when it comes to liquidating investments and things like that. So, a 30-day closing with a client who has to liquidate all of their RSPs, their first home savings accounts, all that kind of stuff takes time. I wish it didn't. It shouldn't take that long, but it is right now. And that can cause issues with closing because you've got major, big banks that need to be done 2 weeks prior to closing as a hard stop. And so if it's taking your clients more than 10 days to liquidate everything and reconcile their down payment, it can cause an issue for closing. So I've had this conversation so many times, especially with a lot of you guys too. They're like, hey, it shouldn't be any issue, to do a 30-day close. It can be depending on the situation. So just reach out to me or whoever it is that you're working with, just to kind of get that green light. And the other thing I'm seeing a lot of as well, for some reason right now, is that there's a lot of sales and buys that are coming my way, just, with renewals coming up again, perfect time. So that's a nice thing. But in that, it's very apparent to me that clients are more so now that I'm seeing as of late, not equipped to understand how they're going to handle their initial deposit. So a lot of clients are, okay, hey, we're selling and buying. We're going to do an estimated net sale proceeds. One of the biggest things I say to clients when I'm talking to them is, okay, how much did Gary say your house is worth, for example? They're like, oh, $1 million. How much is your mortgage? 500,000. So I have $500,000 for down payment, Nicole. And that's not the case, obviously, right? Because we have to factor in, real estate costs, all those things, but they're also not factoring in the fact that they need, up to 5% for that initial deposit. And it's an issue right now if they're not having the proper conversations, because you guys have a budget in mind and you're like, okay, myself or somebody else is telling you, hey, you're good to go to purchase for this amount. Sure, we can bridge finance, we can do all of those things. But if you don't have money or your clients don't have money to go and put down, your initial deposit, we're not going anywhere. So we need to figure out what that is. So it's just a simple conversation with somebody like myself, but just make sure that the financing people that you're working with are handling that, because I'm getting calls a lot more than normal lately that this is coming up, and clients are not able to, make those funds liquid. Sometimes it's as simple as we throw a home equity line of credit on their current property just to free up some stuff until you sell. So that's kind of my housekeeping things that I'm seeing right now that I wanted to mention. I know there's a lot there. That's pretty much what all I've got for you guys today, because otherwise I could go on to a whole can of worms if we start talking about everything else that's going on.
I took a couple of things down there, Nicole. Obviously, reach out to Nicole. And this is why it's so important to have your mortgage broker like Nicole talk to your clients almost as step 2. Step 1 is you meet with them. Step 2 is they meet with Nicole, because one of the things you mentioned here, and what I often do with my sellers is a seller's net sheet. And maybe some of you have seen it in the past. And if you want that, I put it in the comments, seller's net sheet, and I'll make sure it becomes available. But write that into the comments. It's the same thing with a buyer's net sheet in a sense, right, Nicole? You nailed it. You got a $1 million property, $500,000 mortgage. People assume they have that $5,100 in equity. And not only is there obviously real estate commissions and everything else, but the one that often gets overlooked, and maybe Jen will touch on this too with win with buyers, is the land transfer tax.
100%. So
$20,000.
That's what I mean. It's so different. So like when I have that situation, I do the same thing on my side too, like the net sales sheet, and everything is factored in. I don't ask clients if they have, additional off the bat, if they have additional funds put aside for, like, I assume everything is coming from that sale, and I will factor in everything. So if we've got an ideal purchase price of 800,000 on the new purchase, for example, I'm going to estimate LTT and all that kind of stuff off of that purchase, and I'm going to put everything in there. And then we can work backwards to be like, oh, okay, no, I've got extra funds for this or what have you. But right off the bat, that is the bare bones number that I'm going to work with after we factor in all of that.
I often remind our agents this, Nicole and Colin, is we know what we know, and we do it every day. Like this is our job. And we forget that, hey, perhaps the people that you're sitting in front of, they haven't bought ever, or they haven't purchased a home in 10 years, 20 years. And don't assume that they know what you know. Right.
It's so true. And a lot of times too, like people will think like the average person, the average buyer or seller just looks at this whole sort of transaction as a very, common sense approach to things. And we already know when it comes to financing and the way that, things are qualified, it is not a common sense approach. And so something as simple as, maybe clients have, a couple $100,000 mortgage on their property, very minimal in the grand scheme of things. And they don't necessarily, they want to sell and buy, but they don't necessarily want to sell now because they're waiting for, the market to just kind of pick up a little bit, in the heat of spring. And they just assume that they can go and get another mortgage because they're like, oh, well, I'm going to sell my property and I've got this now. They don't realize that they can't actually carry both properties. So, we do have to sell before or what have you, but they just think of it as, well, this, it's common sense. And unfortunately it doesn't make, that's not the way it works. So we have to really look and dig deep to make sure that they're, we can structure these things accordingly for them.
Okay. One quick question from Melissa Bachman here regarding approval and funding. What do you recommend, Nicole? The 45 to 60 days closing?
It really is case specific. So like if it's a clean deal and I've got funds that don't need to move, a 30-day is not going to be an issue. But in a situation where we've got a lot of money movement and liquidation, things like that, then minimum 45. I like 60, but 45 is typically doable. So I'd say 45 at the bare minimum.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. This is excellent, Nicole. There's the mortgage world is like a roller coaster. There's so many moving parts. That's why you got to be in tune. And I know, Nicole, you jump on that call with our agents. Remind us about that and the timing and the cadence of that.
Yes, so it's every other Thursday. So I will be on next Thursday. Mayfair is on in between on the other Thursday. So Thursdays mornings at 9 a.m. And it's just a kind of, free for all in the sense of whatever you guys have got going on, bring your questions. Of course, I always have stuff to chat about as well too. But bring your questions, whatever you guys have got going on. And we can chat about it during the half hour. I'm changing the time frame. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Good. Okay, Colin, you made sure that this got on our calendar with Nicole, and give us the reason why. And Nicole, you can kind of touch on what we're going to be learning here. Colin, go ahead.
Nicole and I, we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we were just talking about just different strategies. And then she started telling me about the Smith maneuver. And I was like, this is something definitely we need in our market centers, just to show people how you can build wealth. There's certain tax deductions. So this is a course that Nicole will be teaching. And like you mentioned before, Gary, we know what we know. And we're real estate professionals. We know the real estate industry inside and out. However, this is where we leverage our partners. We leverage partners like Nicole, who this is her one thing. And she has all that information, and she's going to help us navigate. Just like Mahad, his one thing is taxes. And we tap into those partners. So now our knowledge base becomes much bigger. So this strategy, it's a beautiful strategy. I'm glad Nicole is teaching it. You need to register for it and get yourself in the room.
Thanks for that.
Nailed
I don't have
it.
to say anything else. I just was all set for me. Perfect.
Good. Well, here's the thing, Nicole, and many of you know that I bought a large number of investment properties. And it not only did I leverage the Smith maneuver to do that, I taught my partners on how to do it as well. So it's not just for you, the agent or the purchaser, the investor. It's so you can educate your partners, your clients,
100%.
and provide them with more opportunities. Remember, knowledge in the real estate game is power, right? Especially when it comes to building wealth, Nicole, right? As we wrap up.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting because I've even seen some of our team send out things basically talking about the fact that, you can't make your owner occupied property or your primary residence can never be tax deductible. I'm like, but it can if you can structure things, right? And to your point, it's just because we have to know how to structure things. And the biggest thing with this, and I'll touch on that in the course, is that it has to be executed properly. I don't know if Mihad's still on here, but that's because that's when you can get in trouble with, CRA and all that kind of stuff. So you need to know how to do these things properly and have the support of somebody like myself or your accountant.
So before you go, Nicole, elevator pitch quickly, 30 seconds. Why should I attend this?
It's literally just going to be how to actually make your owner occupied property make you money and help you build wealth. So you're going to leverage. And the biggest thing I'll leave you with is you're going to do all of this with not spending $1 extra. It's literally just restructuring what you're already doing.
Beauty.
There you go.
Well done.
Nicole, thank you for everything that you're doing with us and partnering with our agents here. This is excellent stuff. Thanks, Nicole.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, where's my guys at? I got Dylan, and I'm going to bring Matt on the screen with us. And here's the thing, my friends. I love that we did this and scan that QR code, because that's going to take you to the playlist of the calls and the videos that they do on YouTube. Save this as a favorite. Do whatever you need to do, because let me back up. One of the best things that I did was get into the stats many years ago, and I didn't really understand them, but meaning I didn't know what I was looking at, and it takes time to digest it and go through it, and then start talking to people and listening to people like Dylan and Matt, so you can digest it and share that with your clients. It takes time. It takes time. Not everyone's a statistician or loves looking at numbers. I get it. But it's important that we have a basis understanding, and more importantly, where to get this information. And Matt and Dylan have done an outstanding job of going through some of those and going deep in some of this stuff. And not only do they provide us with excellent information, they do it tremendously well. And I appreciate what you're doing here, Dylan and Matt. Your microphone's muted there, Dylan, just to give you that heads up. And they're going to walk us through some slides, and they're going to go deep on some stuff. And this is the type of information that we can share with our clients.
Absolutely, Gary. And, quick shout out to other agents that are using stats to grow their business. I had a fantastic call with Stacy Nixon yesterday for an hour and a half about using the HPI tool and the benchmark pricing. And no surprise, Stacy Nixon was on our top producer list. So it's not a mistake that happens. Like, when you show up and you're prepared and you're building your knowledge so that you can show up in the right moment with the client to either convert business or better serve a client, it will show up in your production by having that knowledge, because you'll have the confidence to go along with it.
Beautiful. I'm going to hand it over to you fellas, and you take it from there.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you to just be quick on those slides for us. We're going to try to move through as quickly as we can for everybody. So first, starting off here, guys, we do this every month. Sorry, Gary, go back one just for a second. We do this every month on the second Wednesday from 1 to 2. We go live on the Office public Facebook page. You can also scan that QR code that Gary put up there that takes you to the Office YouTube page. And at the end, we have another YouTube channel where Matt and I are updating these videos on a more weekly basis, where we're talking about topics that are relevant in the news to our clients, as well as stuff that we're seeing and breaking down. So there's a lot of places to keep up with us in terms of getting this information. But today, what we really want to impart on you is why this stuff is important, but also showing you a lot of the tools that you guys already have access to. So when we're talking about why this is important, we've talked a lot already about the noise that us as agents are dealing with. And if we're getting lost in the noise, we're not showing up in our business, we're not doing the things that we need to do because we can get paralyzed by fear. Well, your clients are going through the same thing. And so, Gary, if you'll slip to the next slide there, this is some of the stuff that your clients are seeing in the headlines. Is Canada's spring housing market dead on arrival? We're seeing from the Bank of Canada that tariffs are going to intensify, and there's so much uncertainty. Home prices are going to fall, coming down from Bloomberg, right? Like, this is stuff that your clients are seeing. And so what we want to do is they're not going through this as a business. They are just living their lives. So they might not be preparing themselves to, hey, how do I cut through the noise? That's our job. In a world of more uncertainty, your clients are going to flock to people that bring certainty in their lives. They don't want somebody that piles on with more uncertainty. The other thing is, we don't want to be a contributing factor to this. We don't want to be the echo chamber. When somebody asks, hey, how's the market? You don't want to be saying, oh man, yeah, it's pretty rough out there. It's a crappy market. We want to give you information so you can answer that question better. So Gary, if you flip to the next slide there, this is all a part of what those headlines are doing. We're seeing consumer confidence drop in a lot of places, but specifically when we come to Canada here, we're down to 46.1% on the index, or not percent, but 46.1 on the index, down from 50 in just August, right? So we would have been up there in maybe 9th place around the world, just above Poland, and instead we're down closer to 20th place. And a lot of that is because of what's going on in the news, and that slows down buyers wanting to make decisions, people in general wanting to make decisions. So we need to make sure that we are armed with the right information to bring confidence to our clients. And so, Gary, flip over to the next slide there. We're going to do that by looking not at headlines, but by looking at factual data, right? And so give us the next one there, Gary. We're going to take a look right into Broker Bay. And now this is looking at showing activity across all home types in Aurora. And you can see it's actually trending upwards a little bit. Don't mind that little tail off at the end. That's just because we haven't completed the week yet. We are down from last year, but we're trending upwards. So just like Nicole was saying, we're on a bit of a roller coaster, and some weeks are down, some weeks are up. But right now, Aurora's showings is trending upwards. And I can say that, at a couple of our last open houses, they were pretty busy. So as realtors, we're lucky. We get a lot of kind of key leading indicators, as opposed to the news is usually looking at everything that's happened from a month ago. So it's just something to be mindful of and watching and being like, where's the activity coming from? Gary, next slide. Let's take a look at offers. Same thing. Offers have been trending upwards in Aurora. Again, we're down a little bit from where we were last year, and that's okay. But again, trending upwards. And next one, Gary. Taking a look at our showings here in Newmarket, a little bit of a drop off and down, I'd say, more significantly than where we were last year. But again, this doesn't tell the whole story, because we're going to talk about Newmarket, specifically the detached market, in Newmarket by the end of this. Next slide, Gary. Looking at registered offers, again, we're down from where we were last year, but they've been kind of holding steady. They've been kind of fluctuating, just hanging along there in the start of this year. So, it'll be interesting to see if that picks up a little bit more. But at the moment, we're just kind of trucking along with about 33 offers this last week in terms of homes getting registered offers coming in. Next slide, Gary. All right, Matt, let's take a look at median price. First, buddy, I wanted to get all of that out of the way. So grateful to be here with you as always. How are you doing? And talk a little bit about the amount of time that you and I were on the phone the last 2 days to kind of cut through this to get to the information that we're at.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to try and to just read into the stats and see if they match up with what we're hearing in the news. Are there a lot of potential headwinds in the news? Absolutely. I think we're all hearing it. We're all seeing it, but we want to get to the bottom of it and to see like what's really going on. And as you were going through that, if Gary can go back 2 slides to Newmarket showing statistics, you can see that we were picking up right before November there. The market had kind of bottomed out in the summertime, and we started to pick back up. But I think you're going to get the eventual slowdown come December. But the tariff talk and the Donald Trump effect, I think, is what's keeping these down. And even if we go to the next one, the offers registered on Broker Bay, we saw that starting to tick up again in November, and then it rolled over. And it hasn't come back up yet. And I think, the slowdown in December, but also the Trump effect come January, come February, number one. Number two, the market got really pulled forward last year, where we saw a lot of transactions maybe in the January, February month than typical years. So there's that going on in those stats as well.
Beautiful. All right, Gary, take us back to median price there. Go back 1 slide for us. So taking a look at where we are currently, this is now looking at all the detached homes across York region, looking at median price, and it has been trending downwards a little bit. We had our peak really in last June at 1,580,000, currently sitting at 1,443,888. And I will say this, like we're still up from the big major correction that we saw in 2022. So obviously we peak there in March, interest rates start climbing, and we see everything pull back. We are up from that. So when you're looking at where you need to reset the housing pricing from, I remember in 2017 we talked about this a lot as we got hit with the fair housing plan and the stress test, and of course the foreign buyers tax coming in. It felt like we just lost a year in terms of average price. And so if you reflect on it, it's like, hey, 1 year got removed. We can't keep going up forever. But in the grand scheme of things, even when you look at this, look at where we were in 2019 compared to where we are now.
Yeah.
Right. So give us another slide there, Gary. And when we're talking about active listings, this is a big one, right? This is a big factor in terms of pricing, in terms of what's going on, because there is so much choice out there for buyers right now. And we're dealing with that uncertainty, and that ultimately has a downward effect on prices. But as Matt and I were talking last night, he went back, he's like, well, let's just see where we were before. And if you're looking at active listings in York, we're below where we were this time in February of 2019. So for those of you that had your license in 2019, it's that reminder, like we can have a lot of active listings, and look, we're still here, 5-6 years later, right? So it's not all doom and gloom. You got to break down the market segments and watch where those active listings are coming from. And of course, when you're looking at anything in the news and the headlines, and especially the front page of Market Watch, you got to remember they're including everything. And that condo market right now is in real rough shape. And so when you factor in that, you cannot have those numbers together. You got to make sure you're looking specific at what you want to break down there. So Gary, next slide. Thank you. So coming into Aurora, here's where we get a little bit more specific, and you can still see the challenges that we're facing here in regards to our detached housing market. So last year in February, we had 64 active listings. This year we had 120. When we look at sales, we had 44 last year, down to 16 this year. And now when you look at our median price back in 2024, we're sitting at 1.6. Median price last month was 165, and we saw a big drop off. That was the previous month. That was in January. And then in February, we see a drop off to 1.37 in terms of median price for Aurora. So that's this amount of excess listings and choice coupled in with the low sales, the lower buyer demand, that's where you're going to see median price drop. Now, when you take a look at the benchmark pricing, it's a smaller percentage when you're comparing apples to apples. You got to remember that there are some big homes in Aurora, and when some of them sell in 1 month versus the other month, the median price tries to remove some of that, but it doesn't fully equate to it. The benchmark pricing will help you better with that. Matt, when we're looking at Aurora and Newmarket, what stood out to you here on the in between? Because on this slide, you can see the difference once you get to that third bar graph, right?
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think it's just the type of home that's sold. We're more than likely on the lower end side, so that's why it kind of drove the price down. So it'll be interesting to see what next month has in store. I would imagine it's going to come back up to the 1.6 million. Will it be over or under is going to be the question. But definitely last month for sales and active listings, you saw a massive uptick in active listings. And sales just fell off a cliff compared to what we saw in 2024. And again, I think that's the potential confidence that buyers are having right now with just what's being told to them in the news headlines.
Yeah. And then when you come over here to Newmarket, it's a little bit of a different story. The active listings, same issue. We're seeing 71 last year to 134 this year, but not the same drop off in sales. When we look at 55 down to 44, not bad in comparison to what happened to Aurora detached. And then when you look at our median price, yeah, we're down from last year. At the same time, we were at 1.38. January this year, we're at 1.22. We come up to 1.3. So Newmarket actually sees an improvement there in median price, which is interesting to see. And again, it's the reminder of why we need to look at those benchmark pricings and look at all the factors, because when we look at Broker Bay, we're seeing more of a decline there in Newmarket for showings and offers, where we saw an uptick in Aurora, but it didn't translate to our median price, for example, right? Yep. Okay, Matt, we're talking about, people that are working with leasing clients and as well investors. And This is something that's come up in discussions that I know that you and I have been having with clients, especially the investor side of things. And when they're talking about, hey, what's happening with rents this year? We know that immigration is going to be coming down. We know that the condo market's flooded. What's happening there? And you took some time to break this down. So talk to me about this chart we see here when it comes to leasing.
Yeah. So when you pull up leases as a whole for York Region, all property types, all bedroom types, it's quite a significant drop from what we saw last February. Rents down 10.2%. Now, on the surface, that looks pretty bad. So I decided to dig a little bit deeper into it. And what we saw was that 2, 3, and 4 bedroom apartments are actually holding up quite well. They're either just a little bit below where they were last year, or even to some degree, a tiny bit above that. So rents in those specific bedrooms have held up quite well. Where we're seeing the bulk of the pullback is actually in bachelors, 1 bedrooms, and 5 bedrooms. We're seeing anywhere from 5 to 12% in those areas in the York Region market. So when you're talking to definitely investor clients, being able to let them know, hey, listen, like the 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms right now, they are experiencing some downward pressure on the rental prices. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you're interested the bachelor 1 bedroom, 5 bedroom, but if you're looking at a 2, 3, or 4 bedroom type units, you're still going to see some decent rent returns on those.
I love that. All right, move forward there for us, Gary. Did we skip some?
Sorry, for the sake of time, let's move to the tariffs, because I know
gotcha.
that's going to be a hot topic. Yeah.
Fair. Thanks, Gary. All right. So the big question here is, where would our market be without tariffs? Like, this is just a reminder. We were picking up some steam. And so, Matt, I'm going to throw this to you real quick. When we talk about, when we're breaking this down, we've got negotiations, forecasts, and then our patterns and opportunities. Talk to me about these tariffs, perhaps not sticking around as a long-term issue and being more of a negotiation stance or tool that the U.S. is using right now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in Donald Trump's first term as president back in 2018. He put tariffs on a couple different things for Canadians and other countries. And ultimately, I think it did take a year later for them to finally come off once an agreement was reached. I think what's going to happen in the next couple months is there's going to be a new negotiation between Mexico, Canada, and the United States. I think they're applying maximum pressure right now. They see that there's a little bit of weakness going on at the federal level in Canada. They're stirring the pot. They're, getting everybody riled up and putting maximum pressure so that they can start relieving some of that a little later. And it's just going to be a better way for Donald Trump thinks for him to get what he wants out of that new trade negotiation. So I don't see this as being long-term. If some of the tariffs do stick, they'll likely be reduced to some lower levels. You already see Canada out there looking for new trade partners, looking to open up some new avenues. But going back to what we were saying before, there was headlines late last year where the headlines were saying
the next slide there.
The headlines were saying that the Canadian home sales continue to climb in November. Home prices expected to rise all markets next year. Bank of Canada rate cuts. We were being told, and some economists were seeing in the data that that things were improving. And then all of a sudden, the Donald Trump effect happened. And now everyone's stuck to, wow, these tariffs are really going to be something terribly bad. But we've seen in the past that Donald has pulled those back.
Yeah. And so, Gary, just to go back to that last slide for a second, in 2021, from there, we had our drop off because of 2022, bottoming out there in 2023. And actually, just last year, we've kind of bounced. We've hit that point where our sales were now hit the bottom and upticking. It looked like we'd be climbing back up from there. And Treb thought the same thing. They forecasted 76,000 sales for 2025. Now, I think this is obviously needs to be adjusted based on what's happened at the start of this year, but we were moving in that direction. And so it's important to note that when this uncertainty starts to disappear and when this stuff settles down about the tariffs, like right now, it's so up and down and nobody can control it. Nobody knows necessarily what's going to happen. But once that stuff gets removed as a talking point, we're actually poised to do quite well. Like that's where we were trending anyways. So again, Gary, if you go to the next slide, what Matt's broken down here is like, we talk about this a lot of times. If you can start learning patterns in business, patterns in the market, you can kind of take advantage of things. And now we're not focusing on that today. We just want to show you that we are looking like there could be some more opportunity coming down the line in terms of a productive real estate market. So Matt, why don't you explain this to us here as we look at the 5-year and 30-year bonds?
Yeah, I mean, the blue line is the 5-year Canadian bond. The red line is the 30-year. Some people use the 2 and the 10-year. I'm a long-term investor, so I like the 5 and the 30. So what you saw was the 5-year crossed the 30-year bond yield. And so this was risk off. This was, okay, there's issues. They're expecting some weakness in the market. And then what prevailed from that after the dot-com bubble was the inversion again between the two. And that projected to be a fantastic time to buy real estate. And the prices went up. If we go to the next chart.
And that's where you see that growth in the early 2000s, right? As we approach what was the financial crisis.
And then we got
over again.
Yep, the great financial crisis. We saw yields invert again. Okay, so tightness in the market. There's fear and panic. Not a great time to start deploying your money. Then we started to see the rates invert. Now, it took a little bit of time before it came to that good opportunity because of how just significant the GFC really was as a bubble. But after that, when the bond yields inverted, it was a fantastic time to add in real estate. And if we go to the last chart, we can see again, right at COVID, they touched and then they spread out after that. And it was a fantastic time to buy real estate. And what we're seeing now is we're seeing them touching again. They actually inverted, but now they're starting to split again. So this is a time where, okay, we might still have a little bit of trouble in the next couple months, but the spread is starting to show itself, and it might be a good time at some point this year to start adding some risk while others are too afraid sitting on the sidelines.
Beautiful. I love that. And again, Matt, I'm going to throw this to you, but here's the setup, guys. It's not as bad as it sounds in the news. So you got to cut through it. Look at where our employment is now compared to where it's been in the past. And some of those other parts where those lines overcrossed on the last chart, you can see that's where we were having crises, right? There was stuff going on in the economy, and you can see where our unemployment has risen to. And we actually just rolled over just recently. It's not to say that we're going to start going down now, but nonetheless, we have seen that little bit of a rollover just at the start of this year. And then shout out to Stacy again for this one. This came up on the coaching call yesterday, and she's using the HPI and benchmark price index there to keep track of what's going on. And when we look at detached housing in Newmarket, this is where we see the benchmark price. So for comparing apples to apples, when we look at homes, actually had a good little jump from January to February. So if you are following just the news, or you're not giving your clients that reassurance and the factual data to help guide them, they could miss out on opportunities like this if they're sellers, if they're too afraid to do something like that. And honestly, if I can choose when to help people in comparison to the years in 2021 when the market was so crazy, that is such a stressful time for a family to move. And it's hard. A lot of the time, the biggest objection we were getting is like, okay, I can sell for a lot, but where do I go? Well, now you can't sell for as much, but if we price you right, we can get you sold, and you've got a lot of choice for what you want to buy. So it's actually easier to move people now in this market, technically, than it would have been in those markets, even though it was great to just put up a sign and have it sell right away. So I think that's an important thing to note. This is what we want you guys to walk away with. You have access to all of these tools. So if you go to OntarioMLP.ca, that's where we log into the PropTX home screen. You've got access to the housing market charts, of course, Market Watch, the home price index, tons of reports there. And again, don't get lost in reports for report's sake. One of the great conversations I had with Stacy yesterday, she was like, I needed to show my client what was happening in their neighborhood, specifically at 3 versus 4 bedrooms. So I went in and I pulled it. Or I went to a community report. I look back and I pulled it. I know Mike likes looking at the regional reports. He pops in, he looks at it. He's tracking active listings at the start of every week to see what kind of buyer's market we have in there. Is there a lot of choice? Are we going to start seeing competition this week? Is this the time where I want to get my listing out there, or is this the time I want to get my buyer out there? And again, if you're paying attention to this stuff, it's just a better way for you to not only show up and be confident for your clients, but also to serve them at a high level. And that QR code will take you to our Economics of Real Estate YouTube page if you want to see more of this stuff on a regular basis.
That's awesome. And here's the thing, my friends, is, and Colin and I might touch on this just ever so slightly. We don't need to be economists.
No.
But what we do need to be is that go-to resource tool for all of your clients. And knowing where to get that type of information. If they have a question about this, we can send them to this type of data. That's our role in this industry. That we are not experts in everything, but we are experts in your local market. That's where you need to be the expert. Good stuff, Matt, Dylan. Tremendous amount of research goes into this, and we'll make sure that all these slides are available to you right after the team meeting here. Thanks again for everything that you're doing, Dylan and Matt. This is excellent stuff.
Thanks, Gary. Take care.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. As I get all the right people on stage here, Jen, we're going to talk about, as you unmute your mic here, lead conversations with Jen Sombernagel. And there's what we want to do and what we did last month when we talked with the Hastings team and everything that they're doing is we want to give you something you can implement into your business this moment. And that's what, Jen, you're going to walk us through that. Yes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And what I love about this is I just got this info on Monday from my coach and I was like, this is so good. I need everybody to know what it is. And then, the team meeting was coming up, like perfect timing. So what we're going to focus on is how to structure the framework around a text message or an email that you can send out to your clients or your leads in your database or your old open house leads, whoever it is you're trying to connect with, that will give them a reason to raise their hand and connect back with you, either to get something that is of value to them or get more information, or because you piqued their interest, basically. And so for the sake of time, I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can, but this is the actual framework. And if you use a QR code and download it, there's actually a sample email as well. So it goes through the steps, it gives the examples of what that looks like, and then it puts it all together into an email. So you can see an actual physical example, because we just didn't have time to go through that piece today. But here's how it works. Step one is to come up with the message that you want to send to your client. So we call that like the message of the moment. So something that's going on, and the boys just touched on it beautifully. Do we want to compete in multiple offers, or do you want to go and get a house at a discounted price? You want me to give you a house, or do you want to fight for a house? And so the bold message should be punchy. It should be positive. It should be relative to your audience concerns, and it needs to grab attention. So I'm going to give you full permission here to be cheeky, be playful, say something that people are going to see your email out of all of the other emails in their inbox and go, hey, I want to know more about that, or I want to click on that. That's why we want to start with a bold message. The second piece of the email, though, is we also want to acknowledge the challenges that they're having. We want empathy for their challenges and for the situation that they're in. And we build trust by showing empathy with buyers and sellers. So recognizing that the market is difficult, acknowledging that it's maybe a hard time for you to make your money go as far as you need it to, for you to find the right decision, or if you're relocating, how hard that can be, and positioning yourself as the solution to that is the next piece. So if you see it, it's almost like a format. So start with the bold, catchy headline, acknowledge their struggle and the challenge that they're having, and have empathy towards it. Position yourself as the solution. And that can be highlighting yourself with your expertise and your partnerships. Nicole talking about the Smith maneuver today, which I'm excited for her training next week. I'm going to be at that as well. But being able to talk about that and saying, hey, here's a way we can help you solve this problem, solve the problem for them. You've all heard me say that a million times. And then emphasize the future potential. So focusing on the long-term benefits of acting now, and explaining how smart decisions today can lead to significant financial gains down the road. So something along the lines of, the market is, do you want to get a house at a discounted rate, or do you want to compete? What's going on in the market? We know that it's challenging times out there, and there's a lot of misinformation. We hear you. We know how confusing that can be. We have an amazing partnership with, Mortgagees and Nicole Frugia, who have models and systems that will help you maximize the return on your money, so you can invest right now and gain the benefit of the growth of the market as we see the market start to bounce back. So when everyone else is afraid to invest, we've got a plan for you that's going to make you more money, but you need to act today. And then clear call to action. So end it with a low risk, which is a free consultation, a platform or a framework on the steps they need to take, a reconnection with our mortgage team, our tax team, whatever that is, and make it easy for them to get the next step from you. So that might be something as simple as text me today and I will send you your free workbook, your free roadmap. Message me, email, reply to this email, and we'll set you up for a free consultation. Reply and say, I'm in. Right. And this works on social media too, right? You might want to structure it a little bit differently, but the points would still be the same to generate engagement. Because what happens is you call out a challenge, you acknowledge the pain point, you position yourself as a solution, you show them the value and the future potential, and then you give them a clear call to action in order to execute on the step. That's the framework. And what's beautiful about this is it's rinse and repeat. You can sit down and write 5 emails or write 5 text messages, pick 5 different messages of the moment. As the market shifts, as things change, as things update, you can write one really fast. You could leave this call today and go email your entire database. Or if you have an organized database, your open house leads or your leads that haven't responded to you in the last 12 months, give them a reason to respond to you. Give them a reason to go, hey, that's my problem and you're going to solve it. Yes, I want to know how. And then solve it for them. Give it to them for free. There's a big what's the word I'm looking for here? There's a big concept out there that we want to kind of get something for the value we're giving. And that is true, but this is not our value. This is knowledge and education, which validates our expertise, which is why people will go, hey, that's the person I have to work with because they're the one who is going to solve my problem. They have their roadmap. They've done it before. Another thing you could plug in here, if you wanted to, for future potential, is share a success story of somebody you've already helped do this, if you happen to have that. But here's one of the key things, guys, keep it short. So if you get long and wordy with this, it's not going to work because they're not going to read your email. So it has to be short, it has to be punchy, it has to hit hard, and it has to grab their attention. And then the last thing I'll tell you before we throw it back to Gary is please make sure that you make your call to action simple. The worst thing you can do, and we heard this at family reunion a lot, is say over, call me, text me, email me. There's 10 different ways you can get a hold of me. We think we're making it easy. We're making it more complicated. Because I could either say, Melissa, text me tomorrow, or I could say, Melissa, you can call me, text me, DM me, whatever you want. Looking forward to hearing from you. One's a direct call to action, and one's leaving it up to Melissa, right? So that's lead gen with Jen, and how to framework an email or a text message, or I guess a social media post if you want to get engagement.
Lead gen with Jen. Love it. And this is so simple because this is the method that you're using to get appointments when you're sitting down with agents so that they can connect with you. And it's the same method that we can use to get our buyers or sellers to respond. Beautiful, Jen. Thank you for that.
Excellent. We can go deep on that. But Colin, let's do a couple of things here because we've only got a few minutes. So we're gonna scale back on some of the stuff Colin and I were gonna talk about, but we still wanted to dive deep for a moment into some stuff. Tell us what's going on with Mindset next Wednesday.
So yeah, I'm teaching this mindset class on the 26th. Jen is on the 27th. I think Nicole Ferrugia is on the 25th. So we have a packed day. But there's a saying where it says the secret to success, 80% is psychology and 20% is mechanics. So what we're going to be doing for this 1.5-hour session is just working on the mindset and just to build a resilient mindset. When you come up against challenges or problems, you're not just, you're not crippled by it or it causes you to freeze up. So that's what we're focusing on. And we're going to be tackling that 80% psychology. So when you do get to Jen class, when she's talking about the mechanics, this is how you do it. The psychology is already taken care of.
I love it. Okay, my friends, I'm going to ask for 5 more of your minutes. I know we said we'd go to the half-hour mark here, but if we can get you for 5 more minutes, this will be excellent. Colin, as I said, and we started off with, there's a tremendous amount of noise going on, and we just have to fine-tune that radio dial. And Colin and I, we're going to talk about, and let's just kind of scale it back a little bit. We were going to do a little bit of role-playing here as me as a buyer or seller, a little bit confused. When a buyer or seller doesn't know what to do because there's so much coming at them. They get confused. And what does a confused person do, Colin?
They do absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
You freeze, right? And uncertainty is not the enemy, it's inaction. When someone has too much information or they're worried, they freeze and not sure what to do. And this is our job as real estate professionals, to clear through that noise and give them the information that best serves them and their family.
That's right. That's right. And one of the best ways to do that, my friends, is to not specifically answer their questions. And what I mean by that is, if they have a question is typically an objection. An objection is typically they don't know the answer to it, or they're uneducated.
Yeah.
And Colin, we shouldn't be putting ourselves into a position of, oh, I've got the answer for that. Oh, I've got the answer for that. Because quite frankly, it may not be the answer that they need or they're looking for. And the best thing to do there is to answer a question with a question.
And that question can simply be, tell me more of that. Gary, you said you were fearful you're not sure whether you want to buy or sell now because of all the noise that we're hearing. Tell me more about that. Why is that? Tell me more. And have them just go through it. And then you'll find what the real objection is.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, for the sake of time, understanding and being able to identify what that objection is a tremendous resource for you in not only helping your clients, but also negotiation and everything like that. And there's a lot of good things there that we can dive deep on. One of which we'll get to in just a moment. If you don't know how to answer those type of questions or be in that type of conversation, Phil Jones is the guy that you want to learn from. And I'm going to share a quick video of his in just a moment. And he's coming to Toronto. He's coming to Mississauga. One of my favorite authors is coming next month. And that's an event that you want to be at. Colin, before we play that video, bring us back. And I know Wayne Clements is going to jump off of his seat when you answer this question. What are and what is the 5 jaws of a real estate agent? Like, let's bring it all back.
And that's a perfect way to end today, Gary, and I know we just have to touch on a few more things and then we wrap this up. But today's underlying message was noise. And there's a lot happening outside of our control. And immediately I go back to the Serenity Prayer. And the Serenity Prayer was made so popular by Alcoholics Anonymous AA, where it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. With all the noise happening right now, what is within our control? The 5 things that we're supposed to do as an agent: lead generation, lead follow-up, book appointments, negotiate contracts, practice scripts and role play. That's it. We know that this year, with so much noise happening, still we're going to find agents that are having their best year ever. We would prefer that to be all of our agents at KWRC, just by focusing on the 5 things that you have control of.
That's excellent. And to help us, as I said, how to have those conversations next month in Mississauga, Phil Jones is coming. Let's just watch a quick video from Phil and KW.
You have the opportunity to rewrite what the narrative is.
Hey, Phil Jones here. I am backstage with the main man here. Super excited. We're at family reunion right now, but where are we going to be in April? We're going to be in Toronto with Keller Williams, lighting it up, helping agents know exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to make it count. Because we know that this is the time to win. This is the time to steal market share. And this is the time to help people out of indecision and start making the decisions that are right for them and their families. Cannot wait to be able to hang and be with you. And this is the guy that made it happen.
Phil Jones is the best. We know that. We've seen him. Come one, come all. Let's do it in April.
Excellent. So, my friends, that is an all-day event, as you can see here on the screen, April 23rd. Phil will be with us for pretty much most of the day.
All day.
And if you don't know who he is, just quickly look him up online, Google him. One of my favorite books, Exactly What to Say. It's a great book to go purchase, to have on your bookshelf. I got it back there. I have it in an Audible. I have it in every format because it is that type of book you can go reread, because every time you read it, it'll give you just different pieces of the puzzle on how to talk and ask questions to your clients. And it will help in all types of relationships, my friends. I am super pumped about the Thrive and Drive event next month.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing as many of you there, because we will certainly be there. The podcast will be there. Gary's flying down. What is the next slide? Is that the end of it?
Just a reminder of our events. As you can see, next week is jam-packed. If you wanted to take any week to educate and improve your business, this is the week to do it. That Smith maneuver, as we know, not only will help yourself, but definitely help your clients. Of course, you can't do it without mindset, and then win with buyers. It's an awesome, awesome week, my friends. Again, I'm going to bring Jen on screen as we say goodbye.
While we're waiting on Jen to come on, tomorrow is the award ceremony. I know a lot of you have RSVP'd. Looking forward to seeing you there. The team has been working very hard on that. The team that have been working behind the scene, thank you very much. And can't wait to see you guys tomorrow.
Excellent. Lots of great comments today, my friends. I will make sure that seller's net sheet gets included into the team meeting email. Make sure you're getting the emails from us. And my friends, this is an awesome, awesome way to connect every month. I love it. This is the time of year where we take market share. Let's go take that market share and serve our clients to the best of our abilities. Goodbye to everybody. Have an awesome day and enjoy the big gala tomorrow night. That's amazing. Bye for now.